Hello guys, my name is Anna and today we will talk about skilled employer-sponsored regional provisional visa subclass 494. I will tell you about eligibility criteria for applicants and sponsors for this type of visa. Note that this type of visa can only be granted to an applicant who has an employer willing to nominate them, and employer nomination must be granted on behalf of an applicant before a visa application can be made. In one of our previous videos, we told you that 494 visa allows skilled workers to be sponsored by an Australian employer in a regional area for up to 5 years. Most locations of Australia outside of Sydney, Melbourne and Brisbane are classified as designated regional areas for migration purposes. 494 visa has two main streams, employer-sponsored stream and a labour stream. Both streams allow to stay in Australia up to 5 years. In the first part of this video, let's discuss eligibility criteria for applicants. First of all, to be eligible for 494 visa, applicants should have at least 3 years of full-time work experience, which is relevant to their nominated occupation. You should have gained your experience within the last 5 years. Equivalent part-time work may be considered, but the Department of Home Affairs does not consider casual work. Please remember about that. The occupation you want to apply for must be on the list of eligible skilled occupation. An applicant must have a valid skilled assessment in your nominated occupation from the relevant assessing authority to be able to apply for this type of visa. To meet criteria for 494 visa, applicants should demonstrate competent English, which is equivalent to IELTS 6 overall, and should have 6 in each component of your test. If you are a passport holder from Canada, Ireland, UK, USA or New Zealand, you are exempt from sitting an English test for this type of visa. Another important criteria is an applicant must be under 45 years of age at the time of application unless they are exempt. You are exempt from this criteria if any of the following applies to you. If you are nominated as an academic, for example, a university lecturer or faculty head at academic level A, B, C, D or E by university in Australia. You're also exempt if you are nominated as a medical practitioner and have been employed in that occupation for 3 years immediately before you apply as the holder of a subclass 457 or subclass 482 visa with at least 2 years of this time employed in regional Australia. You can be also exempt if you are nominated as a scientist, researcher or a technical scientific specialist at ANSCO skill level 1 or 2 by an Australian scientific government agency or Australian university. You can also be exempt if you have held a special category visa subclass 444 or New Zealand citizen family relationship visa subclass 461. If you held this visa for at least 3 years immediately before you apply and have worked for the employer who nominated you in the nominated occupation for at least 2 years during that time, or for example, if you have held a subclass 457 visa or 482 visa for the last 3 years immediately before you apply, or for example, you have worked in your nominated occupation for the employer who nominated you at all time during those 3 years. Or for example, if you had annual earnings for each of those 3 years that were equal to or greater than the Fair Work High Income threshold that applied at the end of the relevant year. Another important criteria is that applicants must fulfill health and character requirements. Please remember that you can include your immediate family members in your visa application. If you have a partner or a spouse who will be included in your application and they do not have at least a functional level of English, you will need to pay the second installment of the visa application charge, being 4,890 Australian dollars at the time of shooting this video. Now it's time to discuss eligibility criteria for visa sponsors, Australian business. Eligibility criteria for 494 visa is very similar to 482 visa, and to be able to nominate an overseas employee, an Australian company should become a standard business sponsor or have a labour agreement with the Department of Home Affairs in order to sponsor overseas workers for 494 visa. To become an approved standard business sponsor, the business must be legally established in Australia and currently operating. Please remember that if you are an Australian business and would like to nominate overseas workers on a regular basis, it will be beneficial to become an accredited sponsor. In this case, your nomination and visa application will be prioritized by the Department of Home Affairs. The next criteria is that the position associated with the nomination must be genuine. It means that employees must also detail how the position came to be available and justify the need to nominate the applicant. Visa holders must earn at least a minimum annual salary being 53,900 Australian dollars plus superannuation, which means that the salary must be equal to or above the temporary skilled migration income threshold. The salary must also be within the market rate for the nominated occupation. When applying for a nomination, employers must also pass a non-discriminatory workforce test to prove that they aren't discriminating against Australian workers. Australian business must test the labour market by advertising nominated occupation locally. And one more important thing to remember is that an employee should be engaged under a written contract of employment to be able to apply for a visa. Another applicable criteria is to pay skill in Australians fund levi. It needs to be paid when an employer applies for a nomination. The amount an employer must pay depends on the size of the annual turnover of a sponsoring business and proposed period of stay of an applicant. Levi payments are tax deductible. Well, we discussed all of the eligibility criteria for both sponsors and applicants, and let's discuss what can you do when you have this visa. Of course, you can live, work and study only in regional areas. Regional areas are defined in areas excluding Sydney, Melbourne and Brisbane, which means that such cities as Gold Coast and Perth are defined as regional areas for migration purposes. You can enroll in Australia's public healthcare scheme, Medicare. Visa holders must commence work with 90 days of the visa being granted, or if you were outside of Australia when your visa was decided, after 90 days of entering Australia. You must only work in your nominated occupation and only work for the nominated employer in regional Australia. If you do not, your visa may be cancelled. Please remember it and do not breach your visa condition. You can travel out of Australia and return as many times as you want while the visa is valid. The 494 visa validity period is 5 years, and you can apply for permanent residency after 3 years of being on that visa. We will discuss how to do so in one of our next videos. At Sydney Visa, we assist applicants and their employers throughout this application in identifying the correct occupation for a visa application. Our migration agents are always here to assist you in tailoring and managing your migration program and guide you on every step of your migration journey. We also assist with skills assessment process if that's necessary. Remember to consider 494 visa as your option to migrate to Australia because 30,000 places were allocated for employee-sponsored visas this financial year. We offer a job searching support, and if you would like to know more, please refer to our website. We left your link in the description to this video. If you don't want to miss our latest videos, please subscribe to our channel and turn notification on to get notified of our new videos. Please click a little bell. Stay tuned if you would like to know more about latest immigration news and useful information from registered migration agents of our team with more than 20 years of experience. Subscribe to our Instagram and Facebook pages to get more useful information about life in Australia. All the links are in the description. Don't forget that you can always ask your question in the comments, or you can email us on mail@sydneyvisa.com.au. Contact us today to tailor the best suitable option for your migration journey. To get a comprehensive advice, please complete one of our questionnaires designed for prospective migrants. You can find the links in the description to this video. Speak to a registered migration agent from our team today about your immigration program. Let's move towards bringing you to Australia together. Stay tuned. Bye.